Hey there, my name is Sanat Srivastav, and in this video, I will take you through the entire array of features and functions offered by Emgage HRMS. Now make sure that you watch this video attentively so that you don't miss our hero features. And if you want to skip to any particular feature, you can do that using the options given in the seek bar below. So the first thing you need to do in order to access the Emgage HRMS portal is of course to log into it. The link to the login page is simple. It is ess.engage.work. Now once you are there, you will have to enter the company name. This value has been given to you by your company or admin, so contact them for that. We will use our demo panel for this video. The moment I click on continue, I'll be able to see my company's logo over here, a very customizable image of say my employees, my company, my premises, my office. Anything that you want can be displayed over here. After putting in the login credentials of the individual user, you can log in to the dashboard. The first thing that you'll see on the dashboard is inspirational code if you want your employees to see one, and the updates and highlights. For example, there is any announcement, any change in policy, any upcoming celebration, you can mention it over here. Then you have certain other smaller modules or smaller sections such as approvals, where you can see any approvals that are pending with you or any requests that you have raised. Next is say events, people who have their birthdays or anniversary or new joinees will be listed over here. You have a gallery for the company photos. You can post photos of your recent events, anything that has happened in the company you want the employees to see can be put up over here. The upcoming holidays, team attendance for the managers, and the leave summary of the team. Right on top, you have quite interesting options such as this translated option where I can switch between Hindi, English, or Gujarati. Right now, we are going to add more options of languages in the days to come. There is this switch. If you are an admin or a manager, you can switch between admin, manager, and employee so that you can see both sides of the picture. And you have an option to change the theme. You can go for a dark theme, you can go for a light theme, and you can also change the color scheme of the application. Right, so now I'll hop onto the menu section and I'll take you through the Engage HRMS in the order in which you usually onboard a employee. Now the first thing you do for a new candidate is to create the offer letter. So if we go all the way down and we click on candidate offer. We click on candidate offer setup, where you will be taken to a screen where you can set up the offer email. You can send the email directly from the Engage portal. You can generate their offer letter. You have to create a new template for it. Whatever template you want to create, say I create a offer template. I can simply go ahead, write something, say test, and submit it, and that template will be created. I can also create a checklist of document, for example, that I want that particular employee to fill. It could be my KYC, it could be the qualifications, job experience, any other letters that I want them to see or submit. Now the next thing that you do is you go to candidate offer list, where you can see the offers that you have rolled out or drafted, released, they have been accepted, or they have been trashed. All of that is visible in one portal. Now we go back to our main dashboard. The next thing in line, once you have sent the offer to the candidate, is to make them fill a joining form. Now usually people do it manually, but with Engage you can actually digitize that as well. You scroll down over here and click on joining form. You will be able to see the people who have filled joining forms, if their link is open, when was it opened, if they still have the access to it, and what is the status of the same. Right? You can copy the public link over here and I'll show you what that link looks like. This is what your candidate will be seeing, and that is how they will be filling their form. So they will go through the entire process of personal details, address, family, language, emergency contact, qualification, and everything that is necessary to you to fill the joining form. Once they have done that and submitted it, you will be able to see the status over here. Right. Now, once the candidate has filled their joining form, for example this one, you need to click on this button, convert to employee, and you will be able to convert them to an active employee immediately. You will have to enter certain details which are from the admin side, and once that is done, you will be able to submit it. Once you have filled the details and click on submit, you will be taken to the employee profile section where you will be able to see the profiles of all the employees at once. You can also import the entire list of your employees in one click by following this three-step process. Now, if you click on any single employee's profile, you will be taken to their complete profile where you can see the salary details, personal details, qualifications, experiences, documents, bank details, all of that. If you want to see which employees are yet to submit their documents and which have already done it, you can go to the menu and go to the document section where you will be able to see a complete document audit of all your employees. You just have to click on search after setting up the filters, and this will give you an entire list of their documents. Have they filled up their KYC, qualification, experience, all of that. This was all about employee onboarding and their documentation audit. The other important features are around attendance and leave. So let's go to that. We click on the menu and we scroll up to see the attendance setup section. Now, first of all, you need to fix your shifts. So I'll come to that. Here you can see the list of all the various shifts that you have created, what are their timing, start timing, end time, and their status as well. S here denotes shift and SG means shift group. You can use these buttons to add a shift or add a shift group. Shift group is basically used in cases where there is 24-hour operations and you have an employee that comes on different shifts in different days, and you want that you do not have to change their shift every time they are covering for somebody else. Suppose you have a hospital where there is a particular nurse that usually comes in the morning shift, but on a particular day she is also doing the evening shift and covering for somebody else. Now, in usual cases, you would have to change their shift and go through all that manual process. But if you use our shift grouping feature, you will have to do nothing and their shift will automatically be grouped. And whichever shift they come into, they will be able to get their attendance marked properly and you will not have to worry about their attendance reconciliation. The next thing is the work schedule part, where if you want to set up different type of work schedules for different people, such as you want to mark some people auto present, such as in case of founders and senior leaderships who may not want to check in every day, or you want to have flexible timings or fixed timings, you can do that over here. The next thing you need to see is the attendance policy. If you go under the attendance setup and click on attendance policy, you will be able to see various attendance policies that you might have created for different cadre of employees or different type of employees, different branches. To create a new policy, you simply click the new policy button over here. You write the policy name, you choose how you want to capture the attendance. It could be through the Emgage app, it could be through the web portal, or it could be through a biometric device, right? Then you go ahead and you mention your correction limits, your regularization limits, and you can also mention if you have any penalties. You can set all of that over here and how you want to deduct them in a single screen. The next important thing which users usually ask for is the geo fencing, which means that your employees will only be able to mark attendance from a particular place. Now we go back to the dashboard. Now under the attendance section, you have an option of geo setup. You click on it to be able to see the various locations that you have created, and you can add a new location as well as their punch in radius and the fencing radius to make sure that your employees punch in from a particular location. You can also have multiple locations for punch in and punch out of certain employees who tend to travel or are usually on the field. Now let's talk about the leave policy setup. You click on leave setup and the first thing you see is leave code master, where you will be able to add different types of leaves and create their codes as well. Next is the leave code policy list, which basically tells you how you want to create a particular policy around a particular leave code. Which sort of calendar do you want to use? Do you want to use the financial calendar or do you want to use the calendar year? Next, of course, is leave clubbing, which is basically allowing you to set up which leaves can be clubbed with which kind of leaves and which cannot be done. For example, I have created this over here. The LWP leave, which is leave without pay, cannot be clubbed with optional holidays. Status for this is on, which means users will not be able to take an LWP if they are also opting for an optional holiday. Next comes the overtime policies. You click over here and you go to the overtime policy list. Here you can add any type of overtime policy that you have. You can have a basic policy, you can have it separately for weekdays, week offs, holidays, and you can choose how you want to give the overtime. You can choose between overtime and comp off if you want to give people additional pay or you want to give them an extra leave against their overtime done. Let's quickly jump to the payroll setup section where the first thing that you see is the company setup, where you will be able to see the company name. You can change your company logos over here and create multiple companies or multiple SBUs if you have under one company. For example, I have created company ABCD, a Bailey NFC, something like that, right? The next thing that comes is branch, where you can add multiple branches with their location and whether or not you have to comply with the local laws. If you have registered under the Shops and Establishments Act in those locations, the compliances will be applied for those locations and they will be automatically fetched by the system. Next is if you want to create any departments, you can do it over here, or then comes the payroll settings. Here you have to fix what sort of payroll cycle do you want to create and what will be your calendar for it. The next is pay elements, where you have to create the elements for your payroll, basically the elements of your salary breakup, the salary structure, basic, DA, house rent, uniform, all of that you can add over here and you can keep the status on or off. Then you of course have the payroll compliances. These are preloaded in the system, so you do not have to worry about missing out on any compliance. You have PT, PF, ESIC, LWF and gratuity preloaded for different cities, different location, different states. So you will get it for all the branches that you have created. And if you want to add any others, you can always add them a la carte. You can then create the salary structure templates. For example, I have created one generic template which I can show you over here. But if you want to create on your own, you click on add and add whatever elements you want. It's a simple click and do process where you can add all the values here and you have to assign it whether to an individual or to a particular SBU or the entire company. Whatever you want, you can decide it in this section. Next comes the employee compliance setup, wherein you can have compliances set for different employees. There could be a blanket compliance that of course goes ahead for the rest of the company, but in many cases you have individual compliance for individual people, and then that can be set up over here. There is another important part which is the adjustments and liability section. Adjustments are basically the additional elements that you have to give to certain employees, such as any loan, meal vouchers, reimbursements. All of that falls under adjustment. You can add a new adjustment by clicking on that button and filling this dialog box. If there are certain adjustments which are recurring in nature, you can do that under the liability section. If you need to hold salary, of course, there's nothing to display over here, but any place where you hold salary during the payroll, the name of employee and their details will be mentioned over here. Now, of course, after doing all of that, you would want to run the payroll. So if to do that, go to process payroll section. And this is where everything is automated for you. So you have a payroll list, you can freeze, unfreeze the attendance as it shows over here. The attendance freeze is pending for this particular employee. So once you have frozen the attendance, you have done the payroll validation. It will show you everything that you need to see. You have to approve certain adjustments. If there are any pending approvals, you'll have to do that. Once that is done, you freeze the payroll and post payroll, you can post the salary slips of the employees whose payroll is already finalized. All of this happens automatically, so you don't have to worry about any manual errors or any other situations where you would falter on your payroll. Now let's go back to the dashboard and look at the other list of modules that we have, such as the TDS part or the expenses and travel modules, which allows you to manage your expenses and travel vouchers, even travel approvals in one place. You set up your travel, people can request travels, you can approve those bookings, and you can also manage the expense payment. Then of course comes the asset part, where we have a proper asset management module available to you. You have the confirmations for employees, promotions, transfers, their PMS through a proper OKR setup, and of course their separation. So all of that is available in various plans of Emgage HR. To know more, you can always speak to our sales team or contact us using the details given in the description below. That will be all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, if you have any queries, feel free to reach out to us.